the glass that Mike had in his hand is completely shattered and he's covered in champagne. And I'm sitting there completely befuddled going, dude, what the did you just do? I just gave you champagne. How did you already spill it on yourself?
I like boats. Idiot.
God, no!
Welcome to Achieving Failure, a podcast that gives you a break from politics, popular trends, and brings you good old-fashioned life stories that made us who we are today. Sit back and relax with your host, Chris, as he brings you another exciting adventure on how to achieve failure.
Check.
All right, we're up and running. So, as my first guest, I have my producer, because apparently it's kind of a rarity, but hey, you know what? What better person to get to know me and get you to know than Mike over here? But the whole reason I got my friend Mike on here was because this kind of was a byproduct of me visiting Florida recently. I went down to go see my friend Jose, who I haven't seen him in about 10, 12 years, and we wound up going down to, it was his birthday. We wound up meeting up in Miami, hopped in a car, drove down to Key West, Florida, which I've never been before, and my God, it smelled like just burning sulfur down there, which apparently Mike can fill me in on. But it just by happened to be my friend Mike was also in the Florida Keys. He was stationed there, and he was been there for about 4 years. His tour was about to finally end. He was about to move to San Diego. And honestly, over the couple of years, we kind of had not so much a falling out, but just more of a distant relationship where we knew each other since birth, and we lost touch. And then there were other topics. There were other reasons why he and I didn't talk more. He reminded me of his brother, his twin brother, which unfortunately sometimes his twin brother, you have to kind of take him in microdoses. So unfortunately, it was kind of the back and forth. I really don't want to see him, but I was kind of guilted into it, and it wound up being, I had an absolute fucking blast. I actually had so much fun with hanging out with Mike that when I got home, I pretty much ordered another set of plane tickets like for a month later to just come visit him again. So it wound up being...
It was a quick turn.
It really was. I mean, you were leaving in a couple weeks, so I was like, you know what? I had so much fun. This is going to be one of those, it's either shit or get off the pot kind of things. So luckily I went back, and what wound up happening was... because I had so much fun, and this was kind of one of those, I've always wanted to make movies, I always wanted to tell stories, and just the way life is, never got the opportunity. So what happened was, actually hanging out with Mike, me and him kind of put our brains together, and I mentioned to him, I said, dude, it would be kind of cool, I mean, maybe a little cliche, but it'd be kind of cool to take my video and directing experience and maybe just make a podcast about stories of life. I always wanted to do it. Everybody always said you should make a skit, you should make a TV show, but with today's day and age, just everything is busy, everything is crazy, and sometimes a podcast is just a little bit easier. So I kind of bounced the ideas off Mike, and then again, after our adventures, especially in Florida, just the first night I got to hang out with him, it was kind of like when I left the first time, I looked at him and I said, dude, we got to do this fucking podcast. This is absolutely insane. So
that's much, our experience the entire time that we've known each other is, it goes off the rails. It goes crazy real fast, and it can make for some pretty good stories.
So it wound up being that Key West is actually super fun. It is a really cool area, but what I mentioned before, that I just wanted to establish, Key West is not like Fort Lauderdale or Miami. Still beautiful in its own way, but like I mentioned, that smell, my God, that burning sulfur smell that they mentioned, one of the locals mentioned it, but you actually knew kind of a scientific term also. What was that called? Because dude, I literally couldn't stay. It smelled like rotten eggs. It was horrible.
Yeah, so really what it is the cold undercurrent. So because there's no cold undercurrent that refreshes the water, the water temperature rises really quick, especially in the summer when it's very hot, and it causes algae to bloom and then die off. So you have a massive algae die-off, and it gives off the smell of basically sulfur.
Yeah, because we were in Fort Lauderdale, Miami, and everything like that, and I said, this is beautiful, and then as soon as we started crossing the chain of islands, I said, oh my God. Besides the smell, when I finally got up to meet up with Mike, again, I was a little hesitant, but I felt more obligated because the rest of the family said, if you do not see Mike, he's going to bitch about it this whole time. So where did we wind up
funny
going?
because I wasn't providing any of that pressure. I didn't even know you were coming down until evidently you'd been pressured to the point where you're like, you're gonna go see Mike.
Yeah, it was kind of like, surprise, I'm here. So I remember we wound up at a couple different places, but where was one of the first places? Because it's kind of like everything is a blur at this point because we drank so much. I know we went to, where was one of the first places we went? We wound up at the strip club.
I think we started at Tattoos and Stars.
Okay, so we wound up going to Tattoos and Stars. It was actually a really cool place. That was kind of like a little biker bar, and we wound up playing pool.
I beat myself. I lost, but you didn't win.
So we wound up just doing the other, just more or less just the usual bar hopping from place to place. We did kind of go to a video-themed bar, which is actually really, really cool. They had a bunch of old classic arcade games. They had board games. They had all types of crazy shit. They had amazing beer. We wound up going back to that.
Yeah, it's an awesome nerd bar. It's was initially called Glitchcraft, but now is called the Retro Room. And it's got all the memorabilia, and it's got posters from old movies, and it's got all kinds of toy action figures and stuff. All these almost antiques at this point, but really like the collectibles.
Yeah, of old movie stars and stuff like that. But I want to say, I think the highlight, and sorry that this is kind of a jump-off point for the first episode, but I want to say the highlight of our night was the strip club, which apparently you, Mike, are very well known at this place.
I was well regarded. I was respected there. People knew me.
This is one of those places. I've never really been to a dive strip club to where if the bouncers and staff all wore top hats, they would all tip him a due. It was just like, I kind of go walking and I go, how much money have you spent at this place that you are literally on a first name basis? Like, not, oh,
with
hey,
everybody.
Not, oh, hey, the bouncer knows you. Everybody. I mean, it's just how much money did you spend that not only everybody knows your name, but the bartender already has your drink made by the time your foot touches the bar stool, boom, drink right in front of you.
By the time I sat down, the drink was already waiting for me. I know.
So I was having fun. And it was kind of a stupid, it was, some people say it was stupid. I say, you know what, I'm going to have one fun night. And if I came back and I did it again, then yes, it'd be stupid. But I spent, oh my God, dude, I don't even want to say, how much did I spend? I spent like something like $2,000 in one night.
It was nearly $2,000, yeah.
Yeah, and that wasn't even including, that was, I think, 175 of that was just for drinks. The rest was easily. The rest was, well, that was the wild and crazy thing.
Well,
like
you were everybody's favorite.
Yeah, we were drinking with strippers. We were drinking with everybody, and we got bottles. I got a bottle of champagne, but it was at the end of the night.
I had half a glass of champagne of that bottle until you smashed the shit out of the glass.
Yeah, so what wound up happening was the entire night he goes, don't go in a champagne room, don't go in a champagne room, don't go in a champagne room.
Don't spend that money.
What does he do? He spins around on the bar stool, claps his hands, and Chris disappears into the champagne room.
Oh, it was like a bit of horror magic. I turned around and it was like fucking poof, you were gone.
So what wound up happening was I met this one stripper, and of course, of all the girls in this place, this is the one who speaks zero English, but she's got her sister with her who does speak English. It also wound up being that, well, they were kind of a tag team, so what you would normally pay for one, well, now you got to pay for two. However, that was kind of a unexpected treat because
it's a very good place.
They did very adult oriented themes on top of me while I'm literally sucking champagne out of a bottle, and it was probably one of the most insane experiences I've got to see or do or be a part of.
You were occupied for quite a while.
Yeah, it was several hours. I think we wound up actually closing that place, but
we did.
As
we closed the strip club.
as entertaining as it would be to have two strippers on either side of you doing inappropriate things to each other on top of you while drinking champagne, the highlight of the night was definitely me walking out, you going, where the fuck did you just go? And I said, here's some champagne, bro. Giving you a glass, pouring champagne, and then turning around again by the scope of pure magic. I do my twirl now, and I come back, and the bottle is completely, I mean, the glass that Mike had in his hand is completely shattered, and he's covered in champagne. And I'm sitting there completely befuddled going, dude, what the fuck did you just do? I just gave you champagne. How did you already spill it on yourself?
And I'm literally like, really? That's what you think happened?
That's exactly that's how
that went.
That's exactly how it went in my mind. I said, cheers, bro. Here's some champagne. Turn around to cheers the other girls. Come back, and the stem of the champagne glass was broken, shattered on the ground. He still had the upper half kind of filled with champagne, but the majority of the champagne was covered on him.
And I hadn't moved.
Yeah, and
I just had this dumbfounded, quasi pissed off look. I was just like, "Fucking really?" Not only do I tell you not to go to the champagne room, you come out, "Hey, Mike, here's some champagne. Where the fuck have you been?" Oh, okay, I get it. Smash, dude. What happened to the champagne I just poured you? Really?
So what wound up happening? What did I wind up doing? Because the next day you told me, and you had me hysterically laughing.
You had, as you were spinning around to go and toast the ladies, you had elbowed the glass in my hand, shattered half the glass and the stem all over the ground, covering me in champagne, and then looked back at me like I was the asshole.
Yeah, I was like, and then from there I got pissed. I said, you know what? No more champagne for you. You can't be trusted.
Which I was fine with, because I went back to the drink that was on the bar. And then we went to the after hours club.
Yeah, that was actually a crazy experience. So he knows the actual place, he knows his location, but he goes, I know of an after party. And I was like, well, obviously after you tip your new stripper girlfriend who's madly in love with you.
And that's obviously when you close a strip club at 4:00 in the morning.
Yeah, I mean, This is you just met the love of your life, and now you have to leave. And she goes, "Oh, baby, will I see you again?" I said, "I'm coming back to see you," because don't come back to see your cousin, come back to see the stripper. Duh. So what wound up happening was, I've been to warehouse parties, I've been to raves in like different places, but this one kind of threw me off because Mike goes, I know of a cool place. I said, okay. And we go to kind of this parking lot that had a chain link fence with a chain across it, and he just crawls under. It was just wide enough that you could kind of like, it wasn't like close, but it was quote unquote closed with the chain link fence that you would have to.
It's a closed parking lot.
Yeah, you had to go through the chain link fence. You had to go under the chain between the two fences. And I go, this is it. He goes, this is it. And we walk up, and just like your stereotypical shady club movie, you walk up and there's a doorway and there's just a solo guy standing outside, and he goes, I don't know, remember what it was, $10 each, something like that. And I go, what the fuck? And you're just like, nah, it's cool, don't worry. So we give him the money and we go inside, and inside it was just this massive party. And I go, dude, what the fuck did you just bring me to?
I told you, man, every city I've ever been in, I find all of the spots. I know where to go. I know where to hang out and who to talk to get into the right places. Like, I find the after places that, you have to be on the inside to know.
And it was actually pretty cool because I guess the best way I could describe it is not so much as a warehouse, but it was a pretty decent sized place for an after party. But it kind of reminded, if anybody's seen the movie Blade, the intro to the movie Blade, where they're all having that rave, except there was not a lot of vampires and not a lot of blood, just more DJs and drinking is the best way I can put it. But it was pretty wild, pretty out of place. But next thing I know, what was kind of cool about this place is I'm minding my own business, just getting drunk, and some random comes by and slaps me on the ass. I go, who the fuck just slapped me on my? It was my stripper girlfriend.
Well, you were everybody's favorite. Yeah, that just so turns out that this after place also happens to be where all of the strippers and bartenders go after they get off a shift.
So she just wound up happening to be there, and then what did this scandalous bitch do? Waves, blows me a kiss, and then just poof. Just like the magic that we've been doing all night, just poof, into the crowd, never to be seen again.
Now, I mean, at that point, it's also worth noting that there had been so much alcohol flowing pretty much the whole day. It could just have been Chris's rolling brownout at that point that she just disappeared, probably stood still right in front of him.
I mean, it won't be the first time I've been rejected by a girl within 3 words.
Dude, that last time when we went to the 19th hole in Jersey, I, to this day, don't know what you said. But you walked over, said 3 words, and, like, the expression changed so quickly from somebody having a good time to now being pissed off, like, take your friend and go.
Yeah, to wrap up this episode, we wound up drinking all night. It was one of those drinking drinks you shouldn't be drinking. Like, the bartender was like, you're really going to drink that?
Mixing and matching all kinds of stuff.
You really want to drink a 4 Horsemen with a rum and coke and then a pina colada? And we said, mm-hmm. So
I don't know what this wee shit is. That was all you.
So we wound up going to this bar, and across the bar, there was a super cute brunette chick, and they were kind of eating pizza, and it was just the usual, like, we were young kids making little, like, we're all three of us
were
are making
22, I think.
we're all stupid kids making like silly kissy smiley faces at the girls across the bar, and then finally
she was real pretty too,
and a girl kind of like gives me that motion like, hey, come on over, like, come join us for pizza, would you like some pizza? And so I buy her a drink real quick, and it really was like, if you just
3 words.
If you just it was one of those, if you just kept going and stayed that path that you were going on, you would have gotten laid immediately. But I walked over and I said 3 words, and I went from guaranteed laid to I probably have a restraining order.
Yeah, you're definitely going to get like a written warning kind of a thing.
And the funniest thing was I was borderline blacked out drunk to remember what I said, and I was too far away from from Mike and his brother Tim for them to overhear what I said. But they heard,
or for me to do anything about it to recover you.
But they heard what she said. And it was like he mentioned something along the line of, get your friend the fuck out of my face and get the fuck out of this bar. They heard that.
It was very much.
They heard that.
Late to you need to leave real quick.
They understood that real quick.
You are a genius, my man. You are one hell of a wingman, and party never stops when you're around. You are a force of chaos in the universe. I am one of those, you guys, everybody has kind of said it perfectly, as I am the yodeler on The Price is Right. I'm going up that mountain, steady, and then, boop, there I go. It's just done. I black out and I go on autopilot. It's just... Yeah, it's true. You are pretty much like, you are solid until you're not. You don't have a ramp up. It's like you were like Kingpin, fuck about all night, and then as soon as you just tip that edge, it just comes crashing down.
Luckily for our listeners, we have a lot. Luckily for them, unfortunately for me, since I had to live through it, we have plenty of drinking stories. So, hey guys, I'm gonna wrap up this episode. But Mike, thanks for joining me. Everyone, thanks for listening. Hope to catch you next week. Anyways, guys, as we wrap up this episode, what we're doing is we're gonna start linking everything. We're gonna try to start linking some highlight clips, some social media. But in the meantime, we have an email account. Right now, it's AFLVpodcast@gmail.com. That's AF for Achieving Failure, LV, Las Vegas, podcast@gmail.com. It would have been shorter, but somebody's already taken AF podcast. So, but appreciate you guys. Thanks for tuning in. Hopefully, give us love, give us hate. We got to figure out what we're doing. This is the first episode. This is our jumping off point, and it only goes downhill from here. So, hey, thanks for tuning in. See you guys next week.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode. For more info, find us on Facebook and Instagram. And if you have a story you'd love to share, shoot us an email at AFLVpodcast@gmail.com. That's AF, Achieving Failure, LV, Las Vegas, podcast@gmail.com. Thanks again, and we'll see you all next time.